Okay, welcome to Chapter 6, Part 3 lecture on supply management, and particularly related to commodity strategies. Um, the remainder of Chapter 6 talks about a series of particularly important strategies, one of which is price analysis, which could be based on the marketplace. We're going to cover price and cost in other lectures in more detail, so this is more or less just an appetizer to what's coming up next. But the marketplace can define what type of supply we're getting, and therefore it could be based on best price, average price, business units price, and otherwise. We mentioned earlier that supply and commodity strategies can be based on either competitive bidding or negotiation. Now, effective competitive bidding can be done when the buying firm can provide qualified suppliers with clear descriptions of the items or services to be purchased, when there's enough volume, high volume, to justify the cost and effort of going through competitive bidding and having bids with many suppliers, and when the buyer doesn't really have a preferred supplier, it becomes quite a moot point if you have suppliers complete a bid and not give them, and if they get the sense that they're just being used to spend their time for nothing, then it becomes a point of contention. In competitive bidding, price becomes a pretty important, often dominant criterion for the event. Now, in terms of negotiation, negotiation is effective when the item is new or technically complex, right? And the specifications are quite vague. We can't really develop them very well. When the purchase requires agreement on a wide range of performance factors, right? So you negotiate if you're buying a house. You negotiate when you have a design, the brand new supply item, and those are the times when negotiation makes more sense, and when the suppliers are involved in a development effort. And sometimes when the risks are so vague and unknown that without buyer input, the supplier can't really determine the costs associated with developing it or the risks involved. So that's when negotiation becomes more effective. Step 5 in the process, if you remember, was the supplier relationship management, or often known as SRM. Supplier relationship management is basically monitoring one's own strategy and the supplier's performance. The continuous monitoring allows us to know what the supplier's performance is in comparison or in contrast to the determined criteria that we have. And oftentimes firms use supplier scorecards for this purpose. But let me share with you a couple of good insights
SRM.
on SRM that could probably shed more light and detail rather than just the dry textbook.
To a procurement professional, and they will most likely answer supplier relationship management. Ask what SRM is, and the chances are you will receive different explanations depending upon whom you talk to. SRM is a much used term, but one that seems to be used to describe a multitude of different supplier interventions, all serving different purposes. For some, SRM means managing those suppliers who are important to us in some way. Perhaps this might include a performance dimension, or even managing how a supplier might make agreed improvements. Others might describe SRM as an approach to work closely with the critical few suppliers that are of strategic importance to us, without whom we will struggle to operate, or who hold the potential to add significant value to our business and brand. Others still might point to the entire supply chain beyond our immediate supplier, and that might need intervention too. So what is SRM? Well, it is each of these things. It is some of these things, and it is all of these things. One of the challenges organizations face is being able to determine the right interventions with the supply base, and then having the resources to do so. SRM is in fact an umbrella term. It is all of the forms of intervention with suppliers and the supply base, but applied selectively according to the degree and nature of importance of a supplier or supply chain. This sounds obvious, but making this happen in practice demands a shift in mindset, and this is where the metaphor of the orchestra of SRM can help. In the same way as a real orchestra has many different sections, the orchestra of SRM also has many different sections. Supply management, performance measurement, supply improvements, supply chain management, and strategic collaborative relationships. Each section plays according to the piece of music. Sometimes only one section plays, sometimes more than one, and there are times when all play together in unison to create beautiful music. Who plays changes with time. Sections take the stage when they are needed and then go quiet until needed again. Who plays and what gets played is, of course, dictated by the music. And just as every piece of music the orchestra plays is unique, so too is each scenario for a supplier that is important in some way. It is the supplier segmentation process that composes the music. Here, our interventions are determined according to the degree and nature of supplier importance. An orchestra needs players selected according to their musical capability, instruments, and of course a place to practice and play. An appreciative audience is essential if the orchestra is to have any future. Similarly, in an organization, SRM must be a corporate initiative with an executive remit properly resourced and supported. Finally, it is the conductor that enables the orchestra to play in unison and who ensures the right tempo. Good leadership, direction setting and management of the overall SRM effort is critical to ensuring everybody is working in concert, driving the right interventions with the right suppliers at the right time. With the orchestra of SRM ready, the concert can begin and the audience can sit back and appreciate the melodic sound of great value being unlocked from the supply base. Find out more about the orchestra of SRM in my book, Supplier Relationship Management, published by Kogan Page and available worldwide from good booksellers.
Video, right? A little bit of levity and enjoyable. So that's one aspect or one perspective on supplier relationship management that I thought might be beneficial. We're going to talk more about supplier scorecards in the chapter about supplier evaluation. So, but scorecards are essentially a matrix of different performance measures to see how suppliers are doing. So those could be price, quality, delivery, responsiveness, or a custom unit of performance that is particularly important to the buyer. And of course, many supplier scorecards these days are 360 or at least 180, where the supplier provides feedback. In order for commodity strategy to work well, there does need to be elements of the monitoring process embedded in, which regular review meetings and sharing of the results, and also assessing how internal customers see the supplier and how suppliers see the internal end customers are also important. So those are part of the monitoring processes that makes a commodity strategy successful. But again, these elements we're also going to be talking about in more detail in future chapters. I believe it's actually chapter 7 coming up that talks about supply evaluation and selection. So this essentially is the end of chapter 6, part 3, and also chapter 6 in general. And so best of luck to you as you start thinking about the discussion questions from the chapter.